Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another great podcast. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. We had an amazing author on the show with us today. This is pretty cool. I was excited to get his book and the early press copy and read it and stuff. To order it, you can go to wherever fine books are sold. The book title is called Those We Throw Away Are Diamonds, a refugee's search for home. Just came out October 12th, 2021. Mondiat Dogan is going to be with us today to talk about his book and everything that went inside of it. He is a human rights activist and refugee ambassador, born into a Congolese Tutsi family in the Bagwe tribe in North Kivu province. At age 3, he was forced to leave his home village because the Rwandan genocide against the Tutsis has spilled over into the Democratic Republic of Congo. Since 1996, he has lived in refugee camps. He holds a BA from the University of Rwanda and an MA in the International Education from New York University. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me.
Thank you. And did I get your first name right?
You did.
It's very important to me that we get all our names right. Like I said, I need to work on my French. So
No, your French is really good.
Well,
So,
parlez-vous français? I don't know what that means actually.
uh,
So welcome to the show. Give us your plug so people can find you on the interwebs.
so I'm everywhere on social media, mostly on my Instagram. My Instagram name is Mondia Doggone Official.
Okay, there you go. And then, so you've got the new book coming out. Congratulations on the new book. Actually, it came out October 12th. I'm just in denial that it's October. I'm still in September. So I'm just like, no, wait, this year's almost over. So what motivated you to want to write this book? It seems obvious, but I'd love to hear your words on it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for having me on Chris Voss Show. I'm so happy and so excited to interact with the audience. The reason why I wrote the book was because my life and the lives of people of untold stories, and that's what motivated me to write the book. And also, I want to feel connected to the tens of millions of refugees searching the world for a home. And with all those kind of reasons, I say, let me make a move and decide to write this book.
This is awesome. There's a lot of people that have talked about immigration in this country, and people don't realize how important America's building, founding, and everything that America does is
Mm,
its melting pot concept, where anyone can come here and be successful, and that's the dream, that's the vision of America, and
mm,
people are willing to give up their lives to have the chance to come here, and that really speaks to it. But also because we have other countries like China that are, they have a much larger population than us, and they're not really interested in freedom.
mm.
And they're going to beat us on the world stage one of these days because they are a much bigger marketplace like we used to be, and they certainly are keeping us up with us technology wise. So I just want to lay that foundation for people who are out there who might be naysayers of immigration, because some of our best people, Steve Jobs and other people, have been immigrants to this country. The CEO of Google grew up on a dirt floor in India. So, I mean, this is the beauty of the American dream, the American vision. So, welcome, and give us our overall. Well, tell us what motivated you want to write the book, and or an overall arcing thing on the book, and how what's inside.
So my book talks about it talks about my memories back in the Congo. I was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. It's green everywhere, beautiful rivers, lakes. It was amazing. But my life in Congo, that beautiful life didn't last so long. In 1995, the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Rwanda is a neighboring country of my country, Congo, so spilled over into Congo. And Congolese Tutsis started targeting Congolese Hutus and Rwandan Hutus. They started targeting and killing and killed the Congolese Tutsis. So that's the time my family and everybody, particularly Congolese Tutsis, they fled Congo to Rwanda. So my book talks about those memories back in my country, Congo, before I fled, and also the experience of living in refugee camp for most of my entire life, and also a great opportunity I was given to come to America, and how that impacted not only me, but everybody and the
Yeah.
people I left back in refugee camp.
One of the labels I really hate being thrown around with people is they call people immigrants when they really should just call them human beings. I mean, we're all human beings. I mean, a mother or a father wants the best for their child, and whether they want to come to this country or whatever they're trying to do what every mother and child or father, mother, child are doing, trying to give the best life to their kids. And so, when people fault people or look at them as numbers or as not people, I think that's where we really fail. So to give some background to this, the if anyone saw the movie Hotel Rwanda, that was kind
Mhm,
of a fictionalized story. Was not a lot of it was. I mean, it wasn't fictionalized. It was a true
mhm.
story. Some of the aspects that were fictionalized, but it kind of detailed the failure of the Clinton administration in trying to help the Rwandans out and everything that went on. Is that correct?
No, I never watched that movie,
Oh,
Hotel
okay.
Rwanda. I never watched the Hotel
Okay.
Rwanda movie, but I met with a lot of people, the Rwandan people, the survivors of Rwandan genocide.
Yeah.
But a lot of them criticized that movie. There are a lot of untrue stories in that
Oh,
movie.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's how Hollywood partially fictionalizes stuff to give
Mhm,
it the drama dress up, but technically it was basically about how the thing came
mhm,
about and everything.
mhm,
Um, and of course, it's sadly as a country that didn't have any oil reserves there that we were interested in defending.
mhm.
We didn't step in, and there was a real failure of the Clinton administration. So, talk about the arc of your book in some of the details that you have inside of it and your journey. Let's talk about your journey.
My journey from where to where?
Well, from growing up in the Congo to coming to America, how did this journey take place?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I was born in Congo, and in 1995, I fled my place, my ancestral home. I went to Rwanda, so I ended up in refugee camp called Mudende. This Mudende refugee camp was like a transit refugee camp. We stayed there, and the refugee camp was attacked twice. So the massacres happened there. Two of
Jesus.
two of my best friends, Celestine and Patrick, they got killed, and
Wow.
I witnessed all those murdering. I saw how they were killed. My grandma, my auntie, and other friends of mine, and the people we lived in the same tent together. And the UN and Rwandan government evacuated us from within the refugee camp to the place where I spent most of my entire life, called Gihembe refugee camp, from 1997 till till 2017, when I came to America for school, when I came to NYU.
And how bad did it get that drove you guys to the refugee camp? Did they come take your houses? What sort of activities were going on at that time?
Yeah, the reason my dad, as it was like a normal day, like other days, my dad went to the farm to look after cows, and around 10, my dad came back home seriously bleeding, and he told us how people, Hutus, were targeting him, and how they wanted to kill him. And a few minutes later, his best friend, who was also Hutu, he came and say, Sedig is my dad. I warn you, you have to leave this place. Otherwise, at 6 p.m., they will come and kill you. So my mom grabbed me and my young sister Patience and my siblings. So they took us and went to hide in the forest nearby the village.
And you guys have a home there. You have a farm. You had to abandon all of that.
Yeah, we had a really huge farm. My dad was a chief of a village, so we had a
Wow.
huge mountain, a huge land, like Manhattan or New York City. We had a huge land, and we had cows. As my father was a chief of village, over the weekend, people, regardless their ethnic group, Hutus, Hundes, they came and they danced, they drank. We sit around the fire. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water, but life was amazing. Life was beautiful. I remember over the weekend, sometimes because my dad had married before and he had a lot of things, he was kind of rich at the time. I had many my siblings, a lot of my half of siblings and half brothers and half sisters. So our home was sometimes super busy because everybody was there dancing, singing, and it was amazing. But everything we had that disappeared there on the blink of eye in 1995. All everything disappeared, but we had a
Wow.
lot of things.
Wow. That's just heartbreaking. So you enter the refugee camps, the massacres come, they're attacking the refugee camps. Where do you go from there?
So after the refugee camp, after the massacres, the UN and the Rwandan government evacuated us from that refugee camp because that refugee camp was very close to the border of Congo. So the Hutu crossed the border and come to attack refugee camp. And after killing people, they went back to Congo in the forest of Congo. So the government of Rwanda and the UN, they decided to evacuate us from that place, the refugee camp called Mudende, which was in the west of the country, to the north of the country, to the camp called Gihembe.
Hmm. This is amazing. Now you entitled the book "Those We Throw Away Are Diamonds." Where does that come from?
I grew up, I told you, I started my education. I hold my master's from NYU, but I started my education in refugee camp. So since I was very young, I grew up, I encountered this kind of limitation and bias, saying he's a refugee, he's a refugee. And when I went to college, uh, instead of having or being able to be eligible for financial aid, they said, "Doggone, we are so sorry, you are not allowed for financial aid because you are a
Wow.
refugee." So with all these limitation, I want to prove the world, to prove wrong the world that those we throw our diamonds. We are people like everybody. We can do everything when we are given opportunity. We can unlock our potential.
Wow. And these are human beings. They're human beings going through experience,
Mhm,
and if anybody thinks that they're above the fray, I mean, things can turn in any given country, even America.
mhm,
Things could,
mhm,
go
mhm,
off the rails. I mean, you look how weird things got during coronavirus,
mhm.
where everyone emptied shelves all of a sudden overnight.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
you're one collapse away from being, in trouble yourself, and how we treat people is just unfortunate in this world and how we look at these sort of things. But of course, how around the world and do what we do, in Syria, and then
mhm,
of course in your areas, the country. I mean, Africa has a lot of different issues with all the different turnover that they have over there.
mhm.
So you find your way through perseverance to America. Did your family come with you? Is your family stay with you through your journey around, or did your family, what was left of your family, separate? And how is that working out now?
The way I came to America was like a miracle for me.
Mhm.
I after graduating from University of Rwanda in 2016, I tried to apply to every single nonprofit organization or these public and private sectors in Rwanda, but it was really hard for me because I had this status of being a refugee. They said, "I'm so sorry, Montia, we don't have a place here." So I decided, I say, okay, I was fortunate to go to school. What can I do? So I started traveling from refugee camp to another camp to collect stories of war and rape. And many of these stories were held particularly by women. So they held them for so many years. So it was like uprooting an ancient tree for me. I want to help these women to be able to share their stories because in
Mhm.
refugee camp, nobody talks about what they've been through. So the silence itself, it was like a machete again. It was like a
Mhm.
machete wound again. So for me, I said I wanted at least find a way to share the stories of people and the people around me. So, and the UN and other people, the UN wrote my story, and one man from New York, the other side of the planet, he learned what I was doing and said, "God, I want to bring you to America for school." That's how I
Mhm.
came to America as international student.
And there's a story that's in your book too about how you're in Rwanda And you go back to Congo, and that doesn't turn out very well.
Yeah, I went there after we fled my village in Congo. We came to Rwanda and we lived in this refugee camp.
Hmm.
And my family and everybody, especially adult people, they talked about Congo. They talked about how beautiful Congo was before, how
Hmm.
amazing Congo was, how great Congo was. And people started living in the past because before they had everything, they were rich, but when they came in refugee camp, everything completely changed. So they talked really great things about Congo, but they never talked about something that pushed them out of Congo. So everybody in the refugee camp, especially young people like us, we leave, we say, okay, we wanna see the beauty of a country instead of dying from refugee camp. Let's go back to Congo. So that's how my family, my dad, my brother, and I found ourselves in Congo. But for me, I didn't see the Congo, the beauty of Congo that my parents or everybody talked about. Everything was killing when I went back to Congo, and
Jeez.
so it was completely different from the Congo I used to know.
And you end up in prison, and the only chance, they're
Mhm.
offering you to be a child soldier. What is
Mhm.
that like?
So it was not my brother, my dad went to his village and he got caught, he was jailed, and my brother was being able to manage to go back into refugee camp in Rwanda. I stayed there, and the only choice was either to join the rebel groups or being killed. And at that time, I was still going to school. And I said, okay, what can I do? I had a beautiful bird called Blessings. And that
Hmm.
bird, the people, the rebel commander came and say, oh, come to the rebel base whenever you feel or whenever you want to picking up the food for your birds. I say, oh, it's fine. So they build that connection. We build that connection. I built a connection with rebels. And that's how I finally ended up there as my home. So even when I went to school, I went to school, and from school I went back to the rebel base. So it was like my home.
Wow, wow, that's crazy, man. And so
Yeah.
you did finally decide you got to get out of there, I guess.
It was not easy to get out there because if you try to leave that place and you got caught, you could have been you could be killed. So
Jesus.
and the rebel base was surrounded by a lot of different other ethnic group who were targeting Tutsis, and
Wow.
so it was kind of risky to take that, to take that risk to say, let me leave this place, because I witnessed a lot of people. I saw a lot of some of my best friend of mine who tried to escape and caught and they were executed. I saw all these people, so everybody was very afraid of escaping. When I was there, a friend of mine, a friend of my dad, who came all the way from Rwanda, he came to rescue his son. That's how also I was be able to go with them and go back to meet my to meet again my family in refugee camp.
There you go. Wow. That's that's it's just chilling, some of the different things that people go through that are immigrants, and sadly, there's I mean, you think we'd have resolved this by all these years, but it seems like we just don't do it. What are some other things that you want to tease out from your book that you think readers would entice readers to pick it up and would interest them?
Chris, the reason why I wrote the book, I think I tell people all the time whenever I go to speak at the UN or at any university in America, people, what I want people to know, I think that people, tens of millions of people, searching the world for a home. At least listen them, listen to them, give them love, give them compassion, and be able give the opportunity to these people. They fled their home for search of a better life, and these people are great human beings. If we support, if we invest, if we believe in them, we can work. We can build together a world where everybody can feel at home and feel at ease. That's the message I want to give.
Most definitely, most definitely. America was always a melting pot of the most brilliant ideas and people, and there's no monopoly on great ideas. Like I say, I mean, most of the world right now revolves around something that Steve Jobs did
Mhm.
with his mobile phone, and the different businesses and all the stuff that he's created out of it. And his father was a Syrian. If his father hadn't been allowed to immigrate to this country, you have to kind of wonder what might have happened and how things might have been different. And we need to recognize that as a country. America was made great because it was a melting pot, and certainly, we've got a dwindling population. For the first time ever, our population is
Mhm.
actually going down,
Mhm.
and we're not going to keep up with China. China is going to take us over, and we need more smart people. We need more valuable people, and you never know where the next big idea comes from, or the next person. Whether they're working in any of the given
Uh,
fields, whether
I,
it's
I think you can also see the CEO of Chobani. He is from, I think,
Mhm.
Turkey. He's
Yeah.
also immigrated. So there are a lot of great
Mhm.
people, as you said, like CEO of Google. There are great people from uh, outside who are bringing a lot of innovation in the country. That's what makes the United States, I think, so much
Yeah.
stronger.
Yeah. And I believe some people that were involved with the coronavirus were also immigrants, and in the coronavirus vaccines were also immigrants. I'm going from memory, so
You go to the hospitals, nurses, or doctors, many of
yeah,
them are also from, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we need more brilliant people, and anybody who hasn't read, I forget the name of the book, but it has to do with the billion people in America by the Vox writer, I think Matthew Glacius. But those of you who know what I'm talking about, you can Google it. He created Vox, but
Mhm.
he puts a good thing for it about how really the only way we're going to be able to compete with China in the future is to open up our borders and to bring more people in this country. And we actually have one of the best integration systems. For some reason, people integrate more into the American way of life. They bring their culture and their stuff, but they
Mhm.
balance and mix with us better than they do in countries like France and other
Mhm.
countries in Europe,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they don't mix very well. And maybe it's because people appreciate the American ideal. They love American stuff, like McDonald's, which they probably shouldn't like McDonald's as much. It's bad for your health.
And
But
Chris, something funny during the World Cup and 2006, I think everybody, every young man and women refugee camp where I grew up, Gihembe, everybody was supporting the United States. And when you ask them, they say, "Yeah, I'll be an American one day. I'll be an American." So people, these a lot of people appreciate this American ideal out there, and they feel they can do everything for America. I think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that people like me that grow up here, we tend to take it for granted. I think there was a time in my life where I took it for granted up until about 9/11, and I went, wow, there's a world out there, and what's going on. And a lot of Americans do that. They take it for granted because they've always had it. They don't think it's that big of a
Mhm,
deal, but it really
mhm,
is. So I commend you on what you've done with your life and the drive and the chasing of goals that you've done to get here. And hopefully your journey will continue. You can become a citizen.
mhm. That's what I hope. That's what I hope.
There you go. Anything you want to tease out before we go out?
Uh, when
Or
it
you good?
comes when it comes up, I think I'll let you know.
There you go. Guys, order the book up. Hand it to your friends, relatives, everybody. Really understand what's going on with the immigration and refugee system and how important it is these people come to our country and get involved with what we're doing. And then, of course, help us build a better country because we need as many great minds and help as we can at this point. We're not pumping out engineers and new ideas like we used to. Our population is going down, which is the beginning of the failure of an empire if you really understand history and empires. So we need more people. I know a lot of the refugees from Afghanistan came here just recently, and the military is integrating those folks and finding ways to do them. So my friends in the military have been talking about that, and that's a valiant effort as well. These are human beings. I see fathers and mothers when I see pictures of them crossing the borders into our country. All I see are fathers and mothers who want a better life for their children, and they're willing to give their life for it. And those are what our soldiers do when they go fight for the United States. So someone who's willing to give their life for this country, they should probably have a chance to get in here and do something great with it. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show. We certainly appreciate it, spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Thank you so much.
There you go. Give us your plugs one more time as we go out.
Sorry, Chris.
Give me your plugs, your .coms, where people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, I think they can find me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. It's Mondia Doggone Official.
There you go. Guys, pick up the book. Those We Throw Away Are Diamonds, a refugee's search for home. And it's a beautiful read. We got our copy here, our press copy. And check it out. It just came out October 12th, 2021. Also, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. See everything we're reading and reviewing over there. Go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places where the kids are playing and posting. And go to youtube.com to see the video version of this as well. youtube.com/Chris Voss. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Be good to each other, and we'll see you guys next time.